Logan, why are we here?
We're driving to Whitecourt, Chris.
Why are we driving to Whitecourt?
Because we're finding myself.
Finding you?
Yeah, kind of.
I thought you were right there.
I have a hard time with the concept of telling my own story. It's not that it's emotionally difficult for me to approach the subject, it's just that I don't know where the story itself is. When tackling this project, I didn't know what to do. I struggled a bit. I struggled a lot. And so, in a somewhat dramatic gesture, I decided to explore my own story, to find it, to see where I've been, in the hopes that it'll show where I'm going. To do that, I decided to travel backwards through the geography of my life, through some of its landmarks, to hopefully better understand myself. In the summer of 2016, I moved away from home for the first time. The destination was Whitecourt, Alberta, a small town about 2 hours north of Edmonton. I was going there for my radio practicum to learn the ropes of an industry I had chosen to pursue at a station called 96.7 The Rig. And I learned a lot while I was there. I had professional and personal struggles, but at the end of my time, I was confident in my ability to handle the trials and tribulations of the career ahead of me. I worked for another 6-ish months after that at a different station for the same boss, eventually deciding that the radio industry was stifling as opposed to encouraging my growth. The company I worked for doesn't exist anymore. It collapsed under its own financial burdens. It did not go sweetly into that good night. When I'm in Whitecourt now, which is admittedly rare, I feel nostalgic for a time when it seemed so much was ahead of me, for a time where I knew what I wanted. It's strange seeing a place that was so important to my development outside of that context which I knew it. When I'm there, I feel like an alien from another time. I grew up on an acreage. I lived in the same house from the time I was born until I turned 19. My attachment to my old home is palpable. Driving on Highway 14 out to that place still feels as familiar as ever. I drove out there a few days ago, actually. It's been a few years since I've done that. Details along the highway have changed, but it's still the same place. The familiar ruts, the familiar fields, the familiar landmarks. I turned onto my old range road, 212. That sign called me, beckoned me home. With my camera on the passenger seat next to me, I was ready to revisit my past, to find the context for my life. I drove up to the old driveway, intending to get a picture of the number at the end, and stopped. The new family had put up a large sign with their name on it. Despite this place being my home, its forests being the true beginning of my creative and imaginative nature, I found I couldn't bring myself to take that photo. I simply drove past, unable to intrude upon these new people. Even though my intention was to only get a picture of a post, somehow that felt wrong. Despite being in the same geographical place that I had grown up, despite being the same building that my parents had built themselves, it was no longer that same home. Not the same place. I had changed, and the place had changed. We moved away from each other. I visited the geography of my life hoping to find answers, but context for one's life isn't that easy to find. The places we know so well change while we're not looking. Those areas that influence us and make us who we are don't stay the same. They change for having interacted with us, for having interacted with the world. I still don't really know where I'm going, but that's okay. The geography of my life will continue to push me in the direction I need to go. The spaces and landmarks that I shape by simply being will continue to shape me back.